Hi friends, I'm Nachibulo, and this is already our fourth video tutorial. Today, we're going to break down this awesome scene, how to create this letter, set up the materials, and of course, go through the compositing layers. You can download all the materials and textures from the project. Enjoy watching.
Okay, let's jump right in. As you can see, this is a pretty simple scene. Let's take a look at how to create this kind of text. As you can see, it's just the letter N with these parameters. Next, I added the letter into a cloner, set to linear mode, which creates a row of letters. To trim it perfectly on the sides, I used a cube. Of course, for other letters, it's better to use the letter itself for trimming, rather than a cube. I also added thickness and a bevel, and I trimmed it with another N so it doesn't have caps. Finally, I selected the fill for the N and smoothed it using the volume mesher. To create those random little cubes, I used the partition modifier node together with mograph's extrude. I kept the extrusion very thin and added a small bevel to give them a bit of detail. All right, we've gone through the text part. Now let's take a look at the materials and their parameters. Let's start with the floor. It's a simple blue material with a bit of subsurface scattering, using the following color values. Using a material blender to combine three materials is a very effective way to create that complex look for material N. A glass-like base with subsurface scattering, along with edge highlights and a grid texture, must create a really interesting effect. For the lighting between the floor shells, I used an additional plane with material N. I placed it in the center of the floor so that it would light only the shells. When I set up a scene, I experiment a lot with lighting. If you want your material to look good, tweak the lighting first. Almost every scene I create starts with a soft, low-contrast render, and then I enhance it using compositing. Of course, you can achieve great results directly in Redshift without compositing, but I'm just used to working with After Effects. It's more intuitive and flexible for me. As you can see, there are a lot of compositing layers and render passes. As I mentioned earlier, I usually render a low contrast image, so I can control the contrast, color, and overall saturation of the frame later, using effect layers. Most of the time, I use Magic Bullet looks for this. That's a valid point. While your method works well for you, doing everything directly in Redshift can be more efficient for many people, avoiding the complexity of numerous layers.
It really depends on individual workflow and preferences.